Back again for another video. On today's video, we will be talking about the wood and the nail. We will be talking about a male and a female, man and woman. Yes, of course, we talk about this all the time, but of course, I have different perspectives for you each and every single time in regards to men and women. So, I was trying to build something not too long ago, and it was for my plants. I built a nice little shelf for my plants because I had them on my windowsill, and I wanted a different area for them because they were creating a little mess. So I decided to build something, and I had the time, money, energy, and the space. So that's what I did. So in building these shelves for my plants, I had to select materials. Of course, you just don't go to any place and be like, that'll do. You have to figure out what works, why it works, and how it's all going to go together. So in doing this, I had to consider what circumstances that I was going to be in. For instance, the plants that I have to be watered, of course, so they were going to run off. So I need a certain type of wood, and I needed some coating, and I needed things like that. And I had to just consider how big of shelves I wanted to make. There was a lot of consideration that I had to make. But there was one thing that I didn't necessarily put a lot of thought into, and that was what type of screws I was going to use, what type of nails I was going to use. I didn't really put a lot of thought into that, because a screw is meant to fasten things together. Sure, there are wood screws, there are drywall screws, there are long, there are short screws. So long as what I had, did the job that I was trying to do, because yes, fastening everything together is a huge part when building anything. It is necessary. What are you going to use? You can use glue, different things. But the point what I'm saying is that you're going to have to use something to fasten these things together, regardless of what the material is that you're using. It's just going to happen. So, but the thing of it is, I took more consideration in the placement, in the overall construction, the type of wood I was going to use, the type of coating I was going to use, the brackets to hold everything up. I took more consideration in those things than I did the screw. Now, this isn't to say, once again, that the screw or the nail or whatever fastening device I was going to use was not important, because once again, I have to use something, but I don't want to use something that's ill-fitting, such as glue. Glue is messy. Glue is sometimes unreliable. It has curing stages, depending on what type of glue. There's a lot more thought that you would have to put into glue than you would have to put into nails or screws when you're fastening anything together, especially something like wood. When it comes to metal, there's a little different story, but wood, you have to be very particular in what you use to fasten it together, right? But the point that I'm making here is that women tend to believe that the screw is more important than any part of the job at any point in time. Yes, the screw or the nail is very, very, very necessary, but there shouldn't be so much emphasis put onto the type of screw that you use. Yes, you need a certain length. You need to measure everything to make sure that the wood that you have is not longer than the actual screws that you're using, right? Because you need to fasten them together, or the nails that you're using, right? But there's not a lot of thought that needs to go into this. It's very basic, because screws and nails, they come in all different sizes, different colors, different tensile strengths and all these things. But generally, they all do the same thing: fasten stuff together. They hold things together, right? but it seems to be that our society is really focused on fixated on, how can I put it, fixated on the importance and the notoriety of the screw more so than the entire project. And they have conditioned women to believe the same thing, that they are the most important parts. While they are necessary, yes, but they are the most important part of the entire project. Not the planning, not the building, not the blueprints, not the brackets that you're using, because the brackets are pretty damn important. Because if you get the wrong size and you have a certain weight requirement, and you try to put something on there, it's just going to come crashing down, no matter how many screws you have, right? So the brackets are pretty damn important, the certain poundage they take, right? But society once again has told women that out of the entire project, you as a screw are the most important thing, and the emphasis of why everything should be built should be placed on you. Everything should be built around you, no matter what it is. Let's really think about that. When you start to do any type of project, like, I don't know, build a car, is it that we change the entire program, the entire circumstance, the entire project based on the type of screw that we have? I mean, let's really think about that. I'm going to go to a store and let's say that I select my screws first, right? This is why it's important for men to have the purpose in place, because it is your project. It is your circumstance. It is what you're building, right? This is the reason why you have it in the place, right? So you know what comes first. So if you select let's say you select a concrete screw, right? That means that everything that you need for a project is going to be concrete related. So you're literally going to build your project, even though you may be having, metal or wood in mind, you're going to literally build your project around the fact that you selected concrete screws first. Is that what you're going to do when you had in mind that you were going to build a wood project? I mean, let's really think about that. Are we really out here selecting selecting the project based on what type of screws that we have, what type of nails that we have? Are we really doing this? This is a serious question, right? So once again, I don't think I think it's more important for a man to select his purpose and to understand that, yes, while you need to fasten things together, screws and nails are very necessary. But your project, your purpose should not be centered around the type of screw. Do not change your purpose, your project, based on the type of screw or nail that you select. Why? Because there's all different types for different types of jobs, right? This is why women come in varying facets, varying genres. This is the reason, because they are very different in their abilities. For instance, like I said, concrete screw does something completely different than the wood screw. I mean, you may not understand what that is exactly, but you know that concrete and wood are two very different materials in regards to when it comes to building something. You understand this intrinsically due to the inherent understanding of society and how things, how common you come across these things. You come across wood all the time, you come across concrete all the time. So you know that there's a huge difference in between those two types of materials. So, men, I say again, select your project first. Select your purpose first. Don't go out here trying to find a project that fits the screws. Don't do that. Do not do that, because you'll end up building something that is center focused around the screw, and could be potentially something that you don't have any interest in putting effort into. And women out there, remember that you are very important in the circumstance of building anything, but you were selected to do a specific job. You weren't selected to be the center of focus. You were selected, once again, to make sure that things are being held together according to the plan of the maker, according to the plan of the architect, which is the man. That's how it goes. I didn't make the rules, once again. If you don't, my submissive says all the time, she likes to call herself my service animal. So funny. So that's so weird, but whatever. But she likes to pretend to be defiant at times. It's so strange and funny. But I tell her, if you are a material to help me build something, and you understand why I selected you, because I've told her why I selected her, because of what her inherent ability is. She's a nurturer. So that's what I know what I need. I'm not going to select women who don't represent or fixate around my purpose, right? Because I'm not selecting women and then trying to build based on what they have to offer. I already have my purpose in place, and I'm building with the materials that I select, which is her, and other, right? You get what I'm saying? So, she does this, and I say hey to her, so when does a service animal or a material gets to be able to bow out and say, I don't want to do this anymore? When does that happen? I've never used a screw in and say, you know what? I don't think this job is for me. I'm going to go over to the hardware store and then hope somebody reselect me for something else. I've never seen a screw do that, right? So if you understand your purpose as a woman is to be selected and to do a job, then be selected. Once you're selected, do that job. Don't fight against it. Don't say, oh, this and no. You've been selected to do a job. If you claim to be a man's material to build with, be that. You don't get to select when and where that happens. That's not how it works. I've never seen a screw gracefully bow out of a project. Never seen that. But anyways, like, comment, and share. Check me out on Facebook. Check me out on Patreon. But until next time, this has been the Wolf and Beta Close. May you have a good day, and peace be with you.